Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Raven, who is also Brooke, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the conservative movement's rising star, Erika Kirk. Now don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and to follow me on all my social media platforms, and remember that this is my opinion.
That's my opinion!
Remember to keep it respectful in the comments, and all my sources will be linked down below in the description box, and let's just get right into the video. So Erika Kirk was born November 20th, 1988, and she grew up in Iowa, but then she ended up growing up in the metro area of Phoenix, Arizona. And her parents are divorced, and she was raised by her mother, Lori. And in an interview that she did in 2012 with Arizona Foothills magazine, she said that she grew up as a tomboy, and she didn't wear her first pair of heels until she was 14 years old. And she grew up in a very tight-knit Catholic family, and then when she began to go into her teenage years, that is when she began to do pageants as a way to give back to the community. She said, "My mom used to take us to soup kitchens and constantly said we needed to share our blessings with others. When I learned that by competing I could touch more people, further my causes, I knew it was a chance to make a greater impact." And in 2006, while she was still 17, she started her own nonprofit organization called Everyday Heroes Like You. When talking about this organization, she said, "I have a passion to help people in general, so when I was creating my nonprofit, I didn't want to focus on just kids or animals. I wanted to make it all encompassing, find a way, help everyone in a united way." And she graduated from private Catholic school in 2007 called Notre Dame Preparatory High School. And also at the school, she ran track and did volleyball, but her passion was basketball. She was captain for all 4 years in high school and got many awards for her basketball skills. And then she went to college first at Regis University, where she also played basketball for 2 years, and then she transferred to Arizona State University, where she got her degrees in political science and international relations. She also got her degree in American Legal Studies at Liberty University. Now, in 2007, she won the National American Miss Teen Arizona pageant, and during the talent portion, she did a dribbling exposition of 2 basketballs. And in 2011, she first ran for Miss Arizona, but she came short, placing for first runner-up. But then in 2012, she actually won Miss Arizona.
Your new Miss Arizona USA 2012 is Erika Kirk.
On her 23rd birthday, which allowed her to then compete for Miss USA, which at the time was owned by Donald Trump. And then in 2016, she founded Bible in 365, which challenged people to read the Bible in 1 year. And then she created her own clothing and lifestyle brand called Proclaim 365. And according to their website, Proclaim is a clothing and lifestyle company with a greater purpose to equip believers to boldly live out their faith and to know the Word of God from cover to cover. Every item we produce is created with intention and designed to spark and inspire gospel conversation. And Proclaim 365 sells baby blankets, bags, t-shirts, and household items. And then in 2019, she appeared on season 3 of the show Summer House, a spinoff of the Bravo show Vanderpump Rules. And she filmed the show in 2018, and shortly after that is when she met her future husband, Charlie Kirk. And on her guest star appearance on the show Summer House, she was a love interest for Jordan Veroy. And then in a confessional when talking about Erika, Jordan said, "Beautiful blonde hair, her smile, her radiance. I can tell that she's got not only outward beauty, but inward beauty." And then in 2019, according to people.com, Erika Kirk made a post saying this: "I silently pursued this degree and made my own career sacrifices, like turning down being a cast member for at Bravo TV Summer House and other various TV show opportunities." And also in 2019, she created a podcast called Midweek Rise Up, which was a faith-based podcast. And according to the website, she hasn't posted since early of September of 2025. And also, according to people.com, she was a real estate agent in late 2018 in New York City at the Cochran Group that was founded by Shark Tank investor Barbara Cochran. And I hope I'm saying her last name right. And now we get into her life with Charlie Kirk, and here's how they met. So in September 2018, Erika Kirk met Charlie Kirk while she was doing a job interview for Turning Point America. And then this was in Phoenix where she was doing the job interview. And then Charlie Kirk asked her out after this interview to go out to dinner in New York City where she was living at that time. Now, Charlie Kirk was a conservative political podcaster who founded Turning Point while he was in high school. And Turning Point is a conservative group. And then his whole thing that just gave him some notoriety is that he would go around to college campuses where there would be other Turning Point chapters, and he would just debate with college students about their viewpoints when it comes to politics and certain policies. And he also had the famous podcast with conservatives called the Charlie Kirk Podcast. And then in May of 2021, they ended up getting married. And then in 2022, they had their first daughter, and in 2024, they had their first son. And according to NBC, Charlie Kirk used to actually talk about how Erika Kirk was very much more conservative than he was. He said that he is a moderate compared to Erika. And then NBC said becoming a mother made Kirk, meaning Erika, even more conservative, her husband suggested. And she agreed, saying that 100%, which I didn't think was possible, and it made her a better wife. And then she went on to say that motherhood is a launch pad, not a limitation. It's not a waste of your degree to raise children with wisdom, love, and truth. And at a conference for young women, she called for a revival of biblical womanhood. And then on September 10th of last year in 2025, Charlie Kirk was while he was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. And that is when Erika Kirk was just thrusted into the spotlight, and she became a very well-known political figure among conservatives. So like I said, after Charlie Kirk was that is when many eyes then began to go on his whole life. And of course, many eyes went on Erika because she was his wife. And that is when people just began to learn more about her. And just 2 days after his death, that's when people first heard publicly from Erika. And here are some of the things that she said.
The evildoers responsible for my husband's have no idea what they have done. Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.
And then on September 18th, she was named as the new chief executive of Turning Point USA, which again was Charlie Kirk's whole company. And that again even thrusted her more into the spotlight among conservatives. And then on September 21st, 2025, that was the day of Charlie Kirk's memorial. And according to some people out there, that funeral was a spectacle. It was giving very much WrestleMania. They had fireworks. It was in a whole stadium. And I will say that after this funeral, I do believe that is when the opinions about Erika Kirk almost profiting off of Charlie Kirk's death and using his death as kind of a way to put herself in the spotlight and to make more money. That is when a lot of those opinions began to get louder and louder for sure. However, two interesting things happened at this memorial. For one, there is an embrace that she had with President Trump where a lot of people online were saying, oh, this is kind of odd, like why is she embracing him so much like that? Especially if you looked at his face, he just, I don't know, to me looked like that man could have cared less to be there, to be honest. I mean, look how he responded right after Charlie Kirk's death, but that's a whole nother conversation. But also something that she said during this memorial that kind of made people be like, huh? Is that she forgave Charlie Kirk's accused Tyler Robinson, who was caught 2 days after Charlie Kirk's death. And also during this month, which again is September 2025, that is when Candace Owens, who is a very close friend of Charlie Kirk, they used to work in Turning Point together, she began to voice many conspiracy theories surrounding his death. And one thing that she was saying that was sticking out to a lot of people is that she was saying that foreign officials may have had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. But at that time, Erika Kirk had not responded to any of these conspiracy theories. And then then in October 2025, something very notable that she did is that she had her first event with Turning Point, where she is face of it since Charlie Kirk's death. And at this event, it was held at University of Mississippi, and JD Vance also ended up speaking up at this event. And again, something that a lot of people were talking about is at this event, people were saying that she was weirdly embracing JD Vance, like hugging him, like holding the back of his neck and all this. So then rumors and opinions began to go around that allegedly something is going on between her and JD Vance, and that has just been a conspiracy online. Now, in November of 2025, she received the inaugural Charlie Kirk Legacy Award from the 2025 Fox News Patriot Awards. And also in the same month, she did an interview with Jesse Waters. And in this interview, she said that she doesn't want a role in deciding whether or not Charlie Kirk's accused would be faced with the death penalty. She said, "I do not want this man's blood on my ledger when I stand before the Lord. I want the government to decide. It's biblical too. Justice will ultimately be served." And then in that same month, she did an interview with Megyn Kelly, which was hosted in front of a whole crowd. And in this interview, she said that she was hoping that she was pregnant with Charlie Kirk's baby after his passing. Also, something interesting that she said in this interview is, "So now when I see young couples, I tell them, please don't put it off, especially if you are a young woman, don't put it off. You can always have a career, you can always go back to work, you can never just go back to having children and they grow so fast and quickly." I was just praying, both of us were. We were really excited to just expand our family. And also in this interview, she said that she's trying not to hold anger for Charlie Kirk's accused, because she said that distracts her from carrying out Charlie Kirk's mission. And also in this interview, she addressed the whole JD Vance hug that happened at the October Turning Point event at the University of Mississippi. She addressed it by saying, "Whoever is hating on a hug needs to hug themselves. I will give you a free hug anytime you want a hug. My love language is touch, if you will." And she continued saying, "I will give you a play-by-play. I'm walking, they just played the emotional video. I'm walking over, he's walking over. I'm starting to cry. He says he is so proud of you, and I say God bless you, and I touch the back of his head. Anyone who I've hugged, that I have touched the back of your head when I hug, I always say God bless you. That's just me. If you want to take that out of context, go right ahead." Again, that to me shows that you need a hug more than anyone else. And then Megyn Kelly replied by saying they were acting like you touched the back of his ass. So now, in December of 2025, she did a CBS town hall with the CBS News editor-in-chief, Bari Weiss, and this was very controversial because, for one, CBS is being looked at as what in the hell is going on right now by most of America, because many people are criticizing how Weiss is running CBS, the news they are reporting, which side of the news they are reporting on, meaning that many people, including myself, feel like they're only mainly telling one side of the story. It's a whole situation. It's a whole thing. And because people are looking at CBS crazy, this whole town hall got much backlash before it even aired, and the ratings for it were very much a disappointment. And in the town hall meeting, Erika Kirk talked about political violence, Charlie's legacy, meaning, for example, some of the clips are going around where he is saying many bigoted, quote unquote, opinions, saying that people are taking it out of context, her grieving, and also, again, her forgiving Charlie Kirk's accused. Now, something else that happened at this town hall that also started being heavily circulated, like the clips of it, is when she was asked about Candace Owens and just what she would say to her when it comes to the theories that Candace was putting out there about Charlie Kirk's. The face she made just when she heard Candace's name was low-key funny.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop.
The only thing she said that she would say to Candace Owens is stop. That's all I have to say. Just stop. Now, mind you, this town hall aired on December 13th, and then the next day on December 14th, this is what Erika had tweeted. "Candace Owens and I are meeting for a private in-person discussion on Monday, December 15th. Candace and I have agreed that public discussions, live streams, and tweets are on hold until after this meeting. I look forward to a productive conversation. Thank you." And then, after the meeting, this is what Candace Owens tweeted. Erika and I had an extremely productive 4.5-hour meeting that I think we both feel should have taken place a lot earlier than it did. We agree much more than I had anticipated. Of course, you also disagreed on various points and people as well. Most importantly, we were able to share intel and clarify intent. I will, of course, have a full rundown for all of you tomorrow as I'm currently exhausted, but I wanted to quickly let you guys know that absolutely nothing was held back, and the immediate result was that tensions were thawed. Now, literally a day after this tweet, she goes on her podcast and said, actually, this meeting was not at all anything like I thought it was to be. And it was low-key kind of BS. And in this podcast, she again is reiterating that maybe Israel, Egypt, or even France was allegedly a part of this. She was saying that Charlie was saying that he was betrayed by someone close to him, close to his death, and that the federal and state government is covering up a bigger crime. And according to CNN, by Owens' retelling, Erika Kirk came prepared to debunk some of Owens' claims, bringing phone records and having Owens speak to a lawyer to explain how the investigation would proceed through court. But Owens said Turning Point did not have any inside information on the investigation and no access to unseen evidence. Also, during this town hall, she made a statement saying that while she was in New York, she never dated for the 5 years that she was there.
When I lived out here, I was here for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was.
And we know she was in New York in 2018, so let's say that she was in New York from like 2013 to 2018. She definitely was dating because, like we talked about, she was dating Jordan Vilroy, who was on Summer House. And then later we would talk about how she sent an audition tape with her past boyfriend to be on a season of The Amazing Race. And also, in the month of December, she spoke at Turning Point's annual America Fest, where she spoke with Nicki Minaj, and I have done a video on that, so if you want to check it out on my channel, you should. And also at the same event, she endorsed JD Vance for president in 2028. So where do we stand today in January 2025 about Erika Kirk? Now, I'm not going to lie, after that America Fest, it really did feel like she kind of just went mute for a second, and she just was not circulating in the news as much. But then just a few days ago, she came out saying that she was going on a tour called Make Heaven Crowded. And according to their website, here is the premise of the tour. It is a gospel-centered gathering calling people to repentance, faith, and bold obedience to Jesus. Join us for a powerful night of worship, preaching, and ministry. I believe God will move in hearts and lives. Come expectant and bring someone who needs hope. However, after she announced some of the guest speakers for this tour, she got heavy amounts of backlash because one of the guest speakers for this event is Pastor Greg Laurie. And according to yahoonews.com, Laurie is a senior pastor of Harvest Christian Fellowship in Riverside who has been named in a wave of lawsuits filed in U.S. federal court alleging child and trafficking by former pastor Paul Havsgard. The lawsuit alleged that church leaders, including Laurie, allowed Havsgard to act without oversight and overlooked multiple warning signs of his alleged misconduct when he ran church-supported children's homes in Romania from 1998 to 2008. It is also alleged that the church didn't cease to financially support the Romanian homes, despite reports of abuse, and that Havsgard was also allowed to return to the United States with some of the children to raise even more funds, and Laurie has denied all wrongdoing. And also this month, it's being reported that she is requesting a speedy trial for Charlie Kirk's accused. Now, the most I find interesting about Erika Kirk is that there seems to be, from the outside looking in, of course, what we know from public knowledge, there seems to be a shift in who she is as a person right after she met Charlie Kirk. Because it's interesting that when you go back to interviews during her days of pageantry, she doesn't really discuss her faith as deeply as she does now in interviews. And also when it comes to the whole message that she has now, that women should be more, faith focused, family first, having kids, especially if they're still young. It's just an interesting message because, again, it's not as if she's echoing something that she has said in the past. Because also, since she has been thrusted in the spotlight after Charlie Kirk's passing, a lot of old clips are starting to come up about her. And here's one clip where she is with her alleged past boyfriend, and she's auditioning to be on a season of On the Amazing Race.
In China, I've lived in Chongqing, I've been to Romania, I've been to Croatia, lived in Puerto Rico for a little bit.
Really handsome.
You look gorgeous.
you fixing my... I got a little bacon. Babe, that's deep in there. Give them a cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sex sells, babe.
Sex sells. That's me.
That's against our religion.
It's not. It's within the confines of marriage.
I don't. And also, here's another clip where she is in a music video where it shows her basically showing off a tramp stamp. If you want to show off a tramp stamp in a video or just insinuate that you have one in a video, please, by all means, do it. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. No one's about to judge you. However, the reason I'm bringing that up and what makes it interesting is, again, because of the message that she is echoing now about how women, especially young women, should start having kids and put their career kind of in the back burner and just, again, focus on faith and family. It feels like she's being a hypocrite because even when she was with Charlie Kirk, she still had her clothing brand, she still had her podcast. So in a way, you were still working while you were having kids. In a way, you didn't necessarily have to put your career on the back burner. You were still able to have a career for yourself. So again, it's just interesting of how you're just echoing all these things to your audience even before Charlie's passing. And while she was beginning to have kids, it's like you're preaching it, but it doesn't seem like you're practicing it. Even now in current day, you have a career. Granted, yes, after Charlie's passing, of course, she's going to make money for her kids. But it's like, again, you're preaching all these things, but while you're over here going on this tour and you're becoming the chief executive officer of Turning Point, you're making all this money. You're having a career, but you're echoing these things to young women saying that they should start a family and focus on God. So that's the biggest gripe I feel like people have when it comes to Erika Kirk, is just how hypocritical she can seem, especially when you start to look at her past even more and more things start to come out. And even her, talking about recently while she was at a stop for her Make Heaven Crowded tour, she said ICE protests were demonic.
One of the videos that came in to that chat, awkwardly enough, was a clip of Rachel Maddow and Jimmy Kimmel. I can't even believe I'm saying their names in a church, but together. But it was interesting because he asked her the question, do you think these protests are helping? Personally, I do not. I think it's demonic.
Yet, one of your guest speakers is a pastor who was accused of ignoring that was happening at the church he was working at. It's very much giving hypocrite. And I'm very intrigued to see where Erika Kirk's career starts to go, especially because at the end of the day, she's a woman. Yeah, you're a white woman, but at the end of the day, you're a woman. Even the most bigoted white man can never care for a woman. So as more stuff is starting to come out about her and more people are starting to say, wait, she's a hypocrite, it's just going to be interesting to see how conservative people look at her. Almost a crack to her image is beginning to form. So I'm just interested to see what happens throughout the year 2025. And that to me is the intriguing tale of Erika Kirk. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thanks guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember that all sources used in this video are linked down below. Remember to keep it respectful in the comments. And remember to always keep life cute, fab, and fun. And I will see you guys in the next video.